Now it's okay? Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you have a nice lunch and a coffee to continue. So what we have prepared for this session this afternoon. This morning we've been hearing about the policies, and we started to use this self-assessment tool that we presented for the part of integrated strategies, multi-level governance. And there is a second part of this self-assessment tool. We're not going to be like in the morning checking the self-assessment, but we want to focus on this second part of the tool, which is about people, about the local capacities, about enabling cooperation, linkages, and about bringing innovation to rural actors at the local level. So what we are going to do is first we are going to have two inspiring examples that I will invite in a minute to present. We will have some time for Q&A and for hearing maybe others that might want to also share what you've been doing to enabling these local capacities at local level. 1 second. No? And then we will split, or perhaps how we are already in the groups, and we will work around the three questions, or well, no questions, three themes that we have in the flip chart that about how to enable local capacities, how to create linkages, and how to bring innovation. You see that you have the green and pink. Some of them are sort of in the middle, like this Lima. Okay, those are also green. And we want to use the green for the actions that are enabling, that are facilitating these local capacities, innovation, linkages to happen. In your experience, we will explain again later. And the yellow, or maybe there are some orangish over there, that are the things that the groups will discuss that is something that is missing. This is for the second part, but first we are going to hear, as I said, these two examples. The session is about improving rural quality of life. So we are going to speak about territorial marketing and how to make the services more affordable, more accessible. And I'm going to invite you, first you, Blandine Camus. Blandine Camus, if you can come here, thanks. Camus, sorry, yeah, true. Yeah, because it's sorry. From Euromontana, that is going to present an example from a very small village in the Basque Country in Spain that is doing a very good marketing territorially. But I'll let you to present yourself and the presentation for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Should I use the mic, or yeah, is it better for
streaming?
Yes. Okay. Good. Is the green one? Okay, I'll put a timer because there is a lot to say about this village, but I don't want to go over the time. So the village I'm going to present today, yes, so is called Orexxa. So it's located in the Spanish Basque Country. And in fact, even more precise, is located in the province of Gipuzkoa and is the smallest municipality of the Basque Country. It has only 104 inhabitants. They have 2 businesses, and they built a local strategy since pretty much 10 years now, with the kind of slogan that their journey is actually starting here and now with the community. And well, us, the staff of Euromontana, we had the chance to visit this village 2 weeks ago, and they explained everything about their strategy, and really we thought it would be quite inspiring, I hope, for this workshop. So basically what they want is, of course, retaining the population and attracting young people. One of their idea was avoiding what they call medium-term solutions. So at the beginning, they thought about other experiences they heard about in Europe, like tax incentives or giving people vouchers to encourage them to move to the village. But that they thought that maybe it would be only medium-term, because even though people move in, if the quality of life is not good enough, maybe they will go away again. So they wanted first to change the narrative and the image of the village, and also to improve really the quality of life with the services. And here you get a picture from the former mayor. We met this person 2 weeks ago, and he's really the maybe the key stakeholder of the strategy. He was originally from San Sebastian, but then he moved in the village, and he tried as well to bring other ideas that he saw in the Basque Country, and created a very vibrant group of people in the village to create actually actions and solutions. So in terms of services, what they did, well, first of all, they refurbished this building with regional funds. This is really the core building of the village. The village is super small, so this is the heart of the village. So what they did is first, on the ground floor, they created a bar restaurant. So, well, the picture here is quite corporate, but I can tell you when we were there, it's super vibrant, and it's really, yeah, the heart of the village, basically. Then on the same floor, they also afterwards open a local shop. So here you can find mainly local products. They really try to emphasize on this because it's also related to their desire of environmental sustainability and so on. On the floor, first floor, they also have a big room for the organization of events. So it could be corporate events, for instance, like meetings. Us, in our case, we had a meeting in this room. So, which is good for them is also the rent, of course, is an additional income for the municipality when they rent the room for businesses, for instance. But they also use it to organize social cultural events like concerts or theater or movie screening and so on, which is another cultural service that they can offer to the community, and it creates additional social cohesion in the village. Last service that they managed to set up is on-demand transport. So as I said, it's the smallest village of the Basque Country, but it's true that the Basque Country is maybe not what we have in mind when we think about depopulated Spain. The Basque Country is quite populated, even though this village is small. And the nearest city they have is called Tolosa. It's about like 20 minutes drive by car. The thing is that because they are so small, most of the people, they go to work in Tolosa, they go to school in Tolosa. If they need extra services, it's there as well. And if they need to go shopping or anything, it's also in Tolosa. So they decided that mobility was quite important, and they managed to set this on-demand bus. So it's not a bus only for the village. The line was already existing, but it also serves the village if people basically ask for it. So on their way back, they just need to tell the driver that he has to go until this village. And on the other side, they just have to call the driver to say that there is someone to be picked up in the village. And it's 14 times a day. So for them, they consider it being quite good. Of course, they have more offer in the morning and in the evening, and a few buses also during the day. So this is in terms of services. Now, one of their other key project was building an energy community. So they had already the idea from, I think, 2019, but they really launched it in 2021 because they were actually waiting for some funds. So they started installing solar panels on public buildings. So in their case, the town hall and the fronton, which is this, sports place in the Basque Country. The initial investment, so in total, was quite important, but they managed to get funding. So in the end, the municipality itself only paid 5,000 euros, so it was not a huge cost, apparently, for them. The energy produced is mainly used for the two businesses. So one is an agricultural cooperative, and the other one that I mentioned is the bar restaurant that they have. For these businesses, it has allowed to reduce the energy bill by 30%, so it's quite important for those businesses in the village. And then the rest of the energy is also used for, just people living there. And what they decided is that low-income people should have the priority over those who can actually maybe better afford energy. Everyone joining the cooperative that is managing the energy community has agreed on this principle. No one knows who is the low-income household in the village, but everyone agrees on the principle. So, for instance, savings for people could be from 15 to 60 euros per month. And as I said, everything is managed by a community cooperative. So overall, they produce 70% of the energy they consume. Their objective, of course, is energy sovereignty, but for them, it's really, really an additional factor for attractiveness as well. To tell people, okay, living in this village is also about having affordable energy that you can use and that is produced in the village. And the next step for them apparently is biomass boiler. They're investigating the opportunity, but as well the funds to buy it and to install it. So maybe in the next years they will have one. Now in terms of territorial marketing, so you can see actually here that the village is not that small, but looking really, when we saw in the Basque Country and also looking online, they are doing a lot of job on communication and on really marketing their village. So one of the things they did is actually refurbishing, it can look maybe a minor step, but really they refurbished all their communication. So websites, social media, and so on. They really created a kind of new visual identity for the village. And they are also very, very good at being present, for instance, in the local and regional media, explaining their achievements, promoting their results, and also mentioning their projects so that maybe, it's going to get known and they can get funding because they actually mention it in the press. Something else they have done also, because yes, their main business in the end is a very important agricultural cooperative, so they really tap into the potential of promoting local products. They call themselves the village of the cheese, and really, I mean, it's not a small production in the sense that is very minor for the village. Actually, even in San Sebastian at the supermarket, you can find this cheese, so for them it's really something that is important to promote as well. And the last thing as well is that they try also to promote their natural environment, not only for tourists. It's not about, for them, it's really not about attracting like waves of people to visit or to live in the village, but still trying to promote in their image the fact that it's a small village located in the mountains, that people should keep it sustainable and green, etc. Well, now you may probably ask how this is managed and funded, of course. So this is actually the big room, big space I was mentioning before. So in terms of governance, as I mentioned, they have two cooperatives, one for the agricultural business, one for the energy community, but this is really, let's say, a site. Then the rest of the vision and the strategy is really managed collectively by people living there. So they have regular meetings in the village. They have about 25% turnout at those meetings. So at the beginning, we can say, okay, it's not that much. It's only a quarter of the population. But if we think in terms of households, in the end, it's one person per family, pretty much, apparently, that is going to those meetings on regular basis, really to share ideas and to contribute to activities. Then to kind of steer all of this, they have a coordination group, and they can create working groups. Like apparently it happened at the beginning of the energy community. The idea came out from some people. They created a working group on this. They investigated a bit more, and then they really worked like this. So everyone can really share ideas, and then they try to find solutions or funding. In terms of funding, so you can see that the local budget, I mean, is the one of a small municipality, but it's actually very interesting because they think that the budget is not the main issue. The main issue for them is having the ideas. And their principle, basically, is if you have the ideas, you will get the money for it. So first, we have to consolidate a very good vision and to find a solution. And then if we have this and it's very strong, we can actually find some ways to fund it. Approximately every year they fund, they invest 20,000 euros. To give you also an idea of money they can get, for instance, recently they cooperated with other Basque villages in a project called Smart Rural, and it was coordinated by a local action group, and the money was coming from originally the regional government of the Basque Country. So this is the type of money or projects that they can use. Basically. And I think something very important, and they really insisted on this, is that some years they can manage really to double the budget of the municipality using additional funds. So for them, it's really the key thing. Now, enabling factors, because we've been asked to really maybe emphasis on this. So in terms of enabling factors, so we asked them actually in their view what was really the key, the key success factors. So for them really was creation of this local strategy. So not, going in all directions, but really having a vision, then a strategy and objectives. In their case, the core objective is not losing population and trying to maintain it. They do not want to overgrow because they do not want to build houses everywhere in the village, but at least they want to maintain the population and create services, basically. Then for them, social cohesion, of course, was a key factor because, as I said, it's all managed by the community, so people have to be engaged in that. And as I said again, the funds, using public funds for them is really the important factor. On this, they admit that they were lucky to have a mayor who actually had the engineering skills to apply for these funds. And he was apparently at the beginning the only person really able to go out and look for those funds. So engineering probably is maybe one of the main issue in such a small village. Now, from our side, what we found really interesting is that they really had a self-assessment, basically, of their situation. When they presented to us their vision, they really had a slide on their, basically, a kind of SWOT analysis, let's call it this way. They really told us, okay, we have businesses, we have social cohesion, but we know we have no school, we have remote services, we don't have empty houses, so it means we cannot anyway attract more people, and we don't want to build, because one of the threats they wanted to avoid is actually uncontrolled urban planning. They don't want to become like a big village. They want to keep it this way. But they knew they had opportunities in terms of energy production, natural environment, and very interesting in terms of rural-urban linkages with the city of Tolosa. And I think it was mentioned this morning that every village is different, and that, of course, this case could be different from a village in the province of Teruel, where maybe the nearest city is actually quite far. But in their case, they really tap into the potential of maintaining people there because they can also access services in Tolosa. And they know they don't have the capacity anyway to have all the services in their village. For them, it's not realistic to have like a doctor, to have a post office, or to have a bank. But it's really tapping into the potential of rural-urban linkages. And this doing this kind of self-assessment and doing just the analysis of your diagnosis and what you need is something that we recommended in a former project that Euromontana was running with different depopulated areas in the mountains. And well, the project is quite old now, but we think that the guidelines to help municipalities and mountain areas are actually still valid. And there's just a document with some guidelines that can help people asking the right questions to first really start making this self-assessment. And then if you have the assessment, you can go into exploring the solutions and then again the funding. So that is it for me. And if you have any questions, I guess during the coffee break we can chat a bit more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Blandino. If anybody has, maybe we can take a few minutes of questions. If anybody wants to know more, maybe where to get the cheese for Oresa. But I think it's a very interesting community-led project. It has the strong leadership component of the mayor and the capacities of knowing how to access the funding. That indeed is not always the case. I don't know if there is any question. Otherwise, I do have a question myself about this. Do you know if from this young mayor that moved from San Sebastian and having this knowledge of accessing funding that has been essential to bring these new services, like to develop this bioenergy, do you know if there is some sort of knowledge transfer of capacities that he also does, perhaps in these working groups, because in this it's a skill that not everybody has, and not only to apply to the funds, but also like how to know how to run it and so on. I don't know if you have an answer for this.
The mic the streaming. For the so the skills, yeah, indeed. I don't remember the exact name, but he was. I think he has a diploma in business management or anything. So of course, probably it helped quite a lot. One thing that was interesting is that apparently there was no. Let's say, there was no fear that someone coming from the city, would apply any urban, mindset to the village. Everything was, all accepted and everything. Now he's not mayor anymore, so I guess he transferred quite well the knowledge. Now he's president of the Energy Community Cooperative. And anyway, yes, I mean, for the grants, for instance, is something that they were discussing during those working groups or coordination groups. So even though he brought the knowledge, he was not the only one working on this. And I know that the people working for the bar restaurant, for instance, are really, really involved in this and trying to get additional funding. So, but yes, indeed, I think engineering, when they presented to us their case, it was our first question. Really, how do you get the skills to actually apply for these funds and to know these funds? Yeah, but maybe soon they will hear about the toolkit for funding for rural areas, so they will have the knowledge.
No, indeed, that for sure can help out a lot. Thank you, Mandine. Yes, we will have later more time also to elaborate that and in the enabling factors. But now I would like to welcome the second inspiring example that is from you, Joao Almeida, that from the Rural Move. Yeah. And you are going to tell us more about the fighting against the population in the context of Portugal.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you. My name is João Almeida. I'm from Portugal. I'm doing my PhD, actually, so I'm the coordinator also of that non-profit organization, but it's, of course, not my full-time job. I'm a PhD research fellow working on entrepreneurship and innovation in rural areas, so both things are connected. And I'm going to present here a little bit, not a particular case, but a set of insights that we get from our initiatives about these policies and the activities to fight depopulation in Portugal. I will not get in deep with the context of Portugal, but we are a very small country. But as you can see by these maps, we have a high concentration of things in the coastal areas. So population, purchasing power, and also the services. So when we talk about rural areas in Portugal, we are talking about these places here, and mainly we have here two major cities because they have a university and so on. But most of that places we have 160 considered low density municipalities. Okay. And during the pandemic, we created a truly bottom-up organization. So we met online, we start doing things, basically, because we had a lot of people moving to rural areas from urban areas during the pandemic, and also a lot of people working remotely, as I said in the previous intervention. So we created this framework after a few months to work on two main things: to advise, to assist, to give information to what we call rural movers, so people who want to live, work, or invest in rural communities, and to work with local communities to advise them, empower them, and communicate them. And we use two main, it's not there, but two main tools. So digital tools and collaborative tool, as we are trying to also create a platform as the Finnish platform, and also to have a network of community managers and local partners who create this bridge between the two worlds. But our initiatives in practice are a platform, so information about housing, employment, and benefits, but also support, informal support to this type of people. We have a lot of formal support, incentives, tax benefits, even formal support by municipalities, offices, but most of the people ask for an informal support, a peer-to-peer support, and we want to create a network of people who can be a contact point for people who want to move. Also, matching events. I already joke with some people from here. Not a real Tinder, but maybe it could lead to a project. But some matching events between people who want to move and people living in rural areas, online and on-site events. Capacity building, so workshops on storytelling. We did that photo is from a focus group we did with all the how can I say it? Not mayors like presidents, local. What? Yeah, so the level below mayors. So yeah, I don't know how to say it. Huh? Yeah, so we have a lower level than municipalities politically. So we have like local mayors, even more local. So anyway, and they get together in a room, and parish presidents. Yeah, they got together in a room for the first time with us. They did not meet with each other unless it's a political reunion in a general assembly, and they always fighting with each other. So. Also, some research. That's what I'm going to also present today, and also trying to give some advocacy on this type of themes. It's not a topic of discussion as it is in Spain, for example. But yeah, some organizations, some newspapers are also talking about it. So our impact, we have over 75 volunteers or local partners. So our main aim is to have as many people as possible in as many territories as possible to when someone reaches from Lisbon or from another country and ask us for information about a village or a region, we have there a local partner, a local volunteer who can help them. But also direct or indirect support to more than 250 people over these 3 years. And within these activities and these 2.5 years of our organization, we got a lot of insights from people living in rural areas, for people who already moved, and we have three main insights or three main dimensions that I would like to present. So, about the public policies, there is an increasing interest about this topic, and increasing awareness of the local and the regional, not regional because we don't have regional governments, but local and regional authorities and national government. However, it mostly focuses on hard infrastructure, as I said, the national network of co-working spaces, for example, or on subsidies and direct incentives to relocate. And also some formal support with local formal offices. But the main challenges is that we are mostly copying urban models, as the other presenter said, that the mayor wanted to avoid. We have a short-term vision and a high complexity to access that subsidies and that tax incentives. We have a very good best practices with employment incentives for companies located in rural areas, who have a lot of interest from companies because it's a very good incentive. We as organization also benefit, so we have a full-time person working in our non-profit organization because we are located in a rural area. About the rural communities, are aware of this depopulation issue, ask for more incentives for people to come, but when people come, there is a high resistance of these newcomers. So, and there is this high resistance, short-term vision, but also we found a huge lack of skills, of knowledge, how to access funds, even in the mayors, in the local government teams. So we are also trying to do some capacity building on that side. And also, I really like your example because it's very difficult to engage citizens in this type of strategies, even if the mayor is very good and it's very likable, but it's very difficult. And we found that it's very difficult to engage. And from the rural movers perspective, that is a focus group with 7 or 8 rural movers who moved to a rural area. We got them together, and we interview over 30, I think, until now. There is an increasing interest in living in rural areas. They want to get involved in the local dynamics. So when they go there, they really want to get involved, but they have this high resistance from the local community. And many of them, because they have a high resistance from the local community, they start their own initiatives, their own organizations, their own meetups, due to the lack of local initiatives or due to the high resistance of the local community. And most importantly, they play the role of community managers. We have a person in our organization. He's also a member of the executive board. He moved from Berlin to a small village in Portugal. He didn't know anyone there. It was an opportunity to go there. So he's a remote worker, and he already moved 15 couples, friends and friends of friends, to that rural municipality. So he really plays the role of community manager and of key stakeholder in that process. But as I said, the main challenges are the social integration, the informal support, and the lack of legitimacy in these new initiatives driven by these people. As enabling factors, so policy regarding the policies for rural revitalization in Portugal, we have a wide range of funding mechanisms. Really, we have incentives, subsidies to relocate companies to workers. We have a lot of funding mechanisms, but they are very complex. So, but we have a lot of them. We also have a strong social innovation sector. So this discussion of repopulation, it's being mainly driven by the social innovation sector. And we have also very interesting policies targeted to promoting social innovation in general, but then in rural areas. And I think there are also interesting examples of knowledge exchange. So we have a lot of villages who are part of smart villages, living lab networks, fab lab networks. So a lot of villages in Portugal are part of this type of European networks, and there is a lot of exchange with other countries, and we know some examples, good examples of that. But, and I put there the because you asked me to do it. No, I'm just kidding. But what we need to do next, and this is our perspective, working on the ground with the both sides, people who want to live and people living. We need more integrated strategies. So there is some dialogue between the national and the local government, but there is not so much cross-sector dialogue. So, and it could be improved. Also, I think in Portugal we are a very small country, so we are not far away from a urban area, so from a city, but we don't have a lot of urban-rural cooperation. So that's a thing that I think it should be done, and it would be like the main thing to solve this problem, because we are not so big to have remote areas. And also, as I said, capacity building, I think it's one of the most important things to do. It's to empower the rural communities, not only the local government teams, but also the people who move there and want to start their own initiatives. So this is an overview of not only my organization, but an overview of insights from Portugal. I have here, I didn't know she came here, but I have here one of our local partners, actually. So we are, it's Joanna, because she is a rural mover, actually. So yeah. But we aim to be a national organization composed of this local organization. So she has a youth organization. She moved to a rural area. She wants to create dynamics. As I said, she wants to create dynamics there because there are no dynamics there. And we are here to help them and to do things to give them a national platform to do it. So thank you all. And if you have any questions.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much for your, I would say, your testimony of integrated approach. I think it's quite useful for this workshop. I don't know if there are some questions. I would like from and then I will raise my question.
Can I just? You need to talk. I would like. Does it work? Yeah. I would like to ask. You were talking about rural-urban cooperation. Can you give me an example?
Yeah, as I said, we don't have too much rural-urban cooperation, but thinking of the previous example, we have because in Portugal we don't have regional governments and regional players. So we have regional players, but the regions exist for statistical purposes and for access to European funding, basically. So we have just the national government and the local government, and what happens is that the local governments work for themselves. So they all of them want to have an incubator. All of them want to have a pool. All of them want to have a business center. All of them want to have an industrial park, and so on and so on. And now we are with a big discussion because all of them want a branch, like a department or a faculty of a university. So now universities start creating departments all over the country because municipalities are forcing that. And I think we should have more cooperation, not only with urban areas, but between the different municipalities to work not in competition, but in co-opetition or in some parts being really complementing each other. I have one example. For example, we have the city of Fundão doing a great job attracting people, and they don't have a higher education institution. And they are not trying to have a higher education institution because nearby they have a university and a polytechnic institute. So they don't want to compete with existing. They create these linkages, and I can say that they attract almost as many people after the degrees to their municipality than the other towns that have the university. That's really working with the nearby ecosystems and the regional ecosystem. So but I think it's a way to go, and I think it's the best way to go in Portugal because we are very very small. So, like you can cross the country horizontally in 2 hours and a half, and vertically in 7 hours, I think. So, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Joao. Is there any other experience that you would like to bring? Yes, in plan.
For the speaker. So I liked your statement that it's hard to create, you're struggling to create dynamics where there are no dynamics. So just want to, if you have an example where you created positive dynamics where there were none, like social dynamics, because we face a situation where there's no dynamism, there's declining population, there's closure of businesses, there is relocation of people, there's aging centenarian people that, it's the end of the road for many villages in rural depopulated areas. So, that's one question. The second one is, because I understood one of the elements that you're putting together is volunteers. So you have 30 volunteers and volunteer groups. We have an ontological debate back at home whether volunteers should be compensated. So one school says volunteers should be compensated. The other school says no, volunteers should believe in the cause and they should do it for their own good. So how do you tackle this issue of, creating volunteer interest and maintaining volunteer interest so that they can continue to produce support to rural movers or whatever is your objective?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you tell us from which?
Yes, I come from region of Western Greece, from the Association of Local Government.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your questions. About the social, well, I think she should answer the first question, actually, because she moved to a village with probably no social dynamics at all. And she's creating, they are involved in 2, 3, or 4 Erasmus, two, but applying for more, 2 Erasmus projects, so they are doing many things. But I have one example for in a small village, village with 2 inhabitants, just 2.
A couple?
Yeah, no, not together. Two people with a lot, with more than 80 years. So yeah, one young, for a farmer it's young, it's 40 years old, moved there because it was like very sustainable or oriented, and she wants to start his biological production and so on. He moved there. He started being part of these networks connected with agriculture, sustainable agriculture, biological, I don't know. So he started being part of these networks, and he attracted a French couple who moved there just because they knew each other online, and a Brazilian couple who had a kid. 3-year-old kid. So and the French couple brought his mother. So now the village has 12 people there. So, and because they start, and now they have a cooperative. They now have a project called Eco Valley, because they are trying to, because it's a region highly affected with forest fires. So. And they started creating these dynamics, but it almost always started with one person or one organization, one community manager. So about the second question, our aim is to have our organization professionalized. It's that word. So. Our aim is not to be run by volunteers, but we want to have as many volunteers. We call it volunteer. Actually, I put there volunteers, but we call it community managers or community hosts. And we want to have as many as possible. But their work is not to develop the organization, our organization. It's just to be there. And if someone wants to move to her village, she's there and she's the contact point. So I think for some activities or for some tasks, I think we should rely on volunteers, because they do it without us or with us, and if it's with us, it's better because we have a national network of them. But the organization itself, I think it should not rely on volunteers, unpaid volunteers. So yeah.
Thank you, Joao.